Negus.
Negus. What is the language of origin?
Ethiopian to Amharic.
What is the definition?
A king. It's used as a title of the sovereign of Ethiopia. Negus.
If you followed my content, you know that I have a very special relationship with basketball. If you watch one video in particular, you can see footage of me actually coaching youth basketball here in Japan. That said, one reason I like amateur basketball so much is because you don't know who's going to win. And my favorite team of all time, Lethal Weapon 3. And the reason why is because of when Kenny Anderson did this.
Offensively. Now you take a look at this. I mean, Isaiah Thomas is jumping out of his seat right now. 3 changes direction between his legs. Hurley says, what do I got to do? I can't believe this guy. This is impossible.
When it comes to recent memory, my favorite NCAA team would be the 2011 VCU Rams, led by Shaka Smart. And the reason I like Shaka Smart so much, aside from him having just the most baller first name being named after Shaka Zulu, is that his demeanor was somewhat unassuming, like, I'm just happy to be here. But when the games get started, you can see his swagger show up on the sideline, in the locker room. What I like about Shaka Smart is that he represents a new kind of black man showing a different kind of swag. Not the baller rapper or the swagged out basketball player. He's a guy who shows up in the suit and tie and says, you know what? I am a special guy because I have this skill called coaching and I know how to do it well. And that gives me reason to have swag. Something that's being seen in a new breed of young black men.
Could you repeat the definition?
You won't often hear the names Steve Urkel, Shaka Smart, and Young Jeezy in the same sentence, but there's a similarity in the three of them that cannot be unnoticed. When these 3 men found their worth, they moved on. Now, of course, Steve Urkel is a fictional character, but in his situation where he was waiting for Laura, someone else came along that saw more value in him. The same can be said for Young Jeezy, except in this case, Young Jeezy himself chose to file for divorce, showing that he felt that he was in a situation that was not fitting for himself. Although Young Jeezy was formerly a rapper who rapped about things that young people probably shouldn't emulate, his second act, if you will, is one of becoming a motivational speaker and even an author. And in the second act, he is showing something that correlates to what we saw in Shaka Smart or with the fictional character of Steve Urkel. I'm a man of a certain class, and my arrogance tells me that I deserve more than what I'm getting. And if I'm in a situation where I'm not getting what I feel like I deserve, then I'm going to bounce on y'all.
Negus.
The reason why I have so much affinity for Shaka Smart's 2011 run to the Final Four with the VCU Rams is it was an age before the bogged down 43 to 42 games where many of the NBA players remained on the rosters, many recognizable names, and the conferences meant something. And so at the time, he went through the Pac-10, the Big East, the Big Ten, and the ACC, and he ended up playing Kansas, which was a top-rated team many picked to win the Final Four that year. And the thing that I liked so much about Shaka Smart's team was that they were more than just happy to be there. And that's something that a lot of guys who were not the swagged out guys in high school or the guys that were the football players of those ilk, they're the guys who were the geeky guys, the guys who played games or did anime or those kind of things. Those guys are now starting to show up with swag. And when guys go overseas, it's so important for guys not just to be happy to be there, but if you put in the work, learn a language, become a person that is a select person where you are, you can do so much more than just be happy to show up. You can be the man.
Negus.
Andrew, would you say the word loudly for the judges?
Negus.
One more time.
Negus.
Wikipedia describes Negus as the word for king in the Ethiopian Semitic languages, and a title which was usually bestowed upon a ruler of a kingdom, or usually a small part within a larger community of separate kingdoms under an empire by the Negusa Nagast, or King of Kings, in pre-1974 Ethiopia.
Negus. Negus. Negus.
This is an example of what can happen when you let another word or idea or connotation affect how you feel about something that's totally unrelated, or at least not directly related. This is a totally different word from the other N-word that we know. And yet and still, many people will hear this word and think it's synonymous with the other N-word. And that is very similar to what we're seeing with a lot of young black men when they go overseas. Guys are going overseas being told, especially in American media, by a lot of the things you're hearing in TikTok, oh, all of you guys are the same. You guys are just going to go over and make baby mamas other places. One thing that I'm happy to see is that we're starting to have a young group of black men that are not the swagged out basketball players or rappers or football players. I guess Jeezy is a rapper, but he's kind of a reformed rapper in that now he's not walking around with a snowman on his t-shirt. Now he's trying to be a legitimate author. But you're starting to see guys that are squares starting to have the swagger. And I think this is good because we come from an environment that's not very healthy for us. And we have to do some inner healing because we carry some of these, well, unfortunately, maladaptive ways of looking at ourselves overseas. And when it comes to dealing with the black male perspective, there's nobody that can do that better than Dr. Tiasan Johnson.
There is palpable disdain for black men, to which men are starting to respond from both the fringes of black feminism and to everyday realities within coupling and family formation dynamics that have been intensifying for decades. Detected in the experiences that range from ignored intimate partner violence, sexual practices in both boys and men, to social expectations of men in dating. And like I said, we just saw that with Tyler Perry. Black men find that they are hated and often observe that they have been hated for generations, even within their own families. One young lady said that white men will not tolerate the how we treat black men. Okay, if you want to date a white man, you can't treat them the same way you treat black men. Their fathers and grandfathers too have been hated. The proverbial you as a black man has been contending with the hatred and social disdain intracommunally for generations. And it finally becomes most apparent when the most visible social protest organization in the last few decades profits from black men's deaths, and while celebrating the idea of their very absence from black families. The recognition of this disdain is the framework of this book, the foundation of the Black Masculinist turn.
The book that you heard BGS Ibmore reading from was Dr. Tiasan Johnson's book, Solutions for Anti-Black Misandry, Blackness, and Black Male Passing. And this is clearly available on Amazon. I purchased the Kindle version because I didn't want to wait a month for it to get over here, but I'm probably going to purchase the hardcover because I want a physical copy of the book. And one reason I think it's so important for guys that are passport bros to read this kind of literature is because we have some compensation mechanisms that we don't realize that we have. And there's some things that I noticed that I had and I didn't figure out about them until decades abroad. And I think it's really important for guys. They can save themselves a lot of trouble by just studying not just our past, but the kind of things that we've gotten used to. A lot of the things we've gotten used to are maladaptive traits that make us overcompensate for our malehood in ways that we shouldn't really be doing. And these overcompensations are going to pigeonhole some of our relationships. When you look at the young Jeezy situation, it's a representation of a middle-aged man who's now an author, previously a rapper, understanding that he is a person of value. He deserves more than just being tolerated. And if we as black men come from an environment that basically tolerates us, then we go into other environments looking to find a way to fit in, and we do this by overcompensating. If you understand where we're coming from and what we have dealt with and what has become our norm and how maladaptive it is, you can fix that and not just become a high performer in an area, but you can be the high performer in that area and be the man. Not just the man that gets all of the girls, but the man that sticks out in the society as a high value person to the whole group, not just a group of women. Thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, comment below. I'll catch you in the next video. Take care, guys.